Hi everybody, thank you for checking into this week's Melissa Musings. This week I want to talk to you about rent increases here in New York City for next year. Because as I'm sure you've heard, the Rent Stabilization Board met yesterday to decide on those increases. And I want to discuss, both from the tenant's point of view and also the landlord's. I think that for the first year, they're going to split it and have the first 6 months be with no increase, further allowing people to get on their feet after COVID. And for the second half of the month, there will be a 1.5% increase. The big increase comes if you take a 2-year lease, which puts the increase at 2.5%. So, from the tenant's point of view, a lot of people have had a hard time, particularly people who have lived in rent-stabilized housing. Luxury housing, not as much. But, rent-stabilized housing tends to be older people who have been here longer, and also, people, more middle-class people who may be in service industries, may have worked in restaurants, have worked in hotels that aren't operating now. Although the tourists are definitely coming back. But I have tremendous sympathy for people who have been having trouble paying their rent. But things are getting better now. It's time, we're back. So it's time for people to get back to work. But nobody ever talks about the landlords, and particularly me, because I'm rarely on the side of the landlords. But through this pandemic, small landlords have been very badly hurt, because many people just didn't pay their rent because they thought they could get away with it. And it wasn't very smart, because you're liable for it. And I think maybe now the evictions are back on, and we're going to have a big issue in this city. But the small landlords who haven't been getting in any income still have to pay their mortgages, still have to maintain the buildings, and still have to pay their taxes. So this is a real burden. So I want everybody to, when everybody says, 2.5% for a 2-year lease, I want everybody to think about the landlord too. Because we all have to work together here. And landlords are in business. And if you expect your building to be maintained, then obviously your landlord has to have some income from it. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this. I think, choosing which way to go is a gamble. I gambled incorrectly last year. I too live in a rent-stabilized apartment. And so I'm going to be paying more, 0.5% more for half the year this year. But it's a roll of the dice. I'd love to hear back from you. Thanks.